I want you to use a pencil, even art 2, for the initial drawing, and then for the shading you can switch to colored pencil, okay? So I want all the art 2s to work in pencil to just do the outline of the drawings, the line drawing. I'm holding my paper the long way, like this, and I want to draw a line, a horizon line, about 2 inches down from the top of the paper. So using a number 2 pencil or an H pencil would be good. An H pencil would keep you from drawing the line too dark. Okay, like that. Just dark enough that you can see it. All right. On that line, let me see here. On the very left side, I'm going to draw, for me, VP1. Okay, this is VP2. So these dots are real close to the very far left and right side of the paper. Okay, so I want you to draw the horizon line here. So this is the horizon line, or eye level. And I want you to draw vanishing point 1, VP1, and vanishing point 2. Those are going to be really important. About 1.5 inches down, approximately, I want you to draw a vertical line kind of in the center of this paper, about 1.5 inches down, and the vertical line can be about 2.5 inches. Okay, and if you don't have a ruler, just kind of eyeball it. I just want the line to be below the eye level or horizon line. I want the line not to be too long. Because if we make it too long, it's going to give us a very pointy, exaggerated looking cube. I want you to draw a point at the top and bottom of that little line segment. Okay? And after you do that, I want you to connect those points to vanishing point 1. Just with a very light line, because you're going to erase some of that line. So I don't want you to press too dark. Just like that. Connect those points with the vanishing point 2 on the opposite side. So I'm going to do that. Okay, like that. I'll make this a little darker so that you can see. It looks like a wall. You have a wall that's going off into the distance and disappearing into the distance, and on the right and on the left side. This is like, imagine we're looking at the corner here of a wall. This is about 1.5 inches. Okay, and this here is about 2.5 inches. We're going to draw now 2 more vertical lines right here and right here to kind of set up a limit. So this isn't looking like a wall that goes on forever. I wanted to actually kind of end it and put a line there that's parallel to the center line that you drew, and let it also be parallel to the left edge of the paper here. So just make sure your line's nice and straight. That's what I'm saying. Okay, and there's no set amount. I mean, if you want a set amount, this is about 1 3/4 inches, but it doesn't have to be exactly 1 3/4 inches. It could be a little less, it could be a little bit more, but I just don't want you to make a skinny box, like, you know, draw a line here and then you end up with like a rectangular prism. I want this to look kind of like a cube. After you draw those 2 lines, I want you to erase the extra, you know, the lines that are going to be outside of the box here, these lines that go to the vanishing point. I want you to erase those because we don't need them anymore. Those lines actually have a name in perspective drawing. They're called orthogonal lines. Erase the rest of these orthogonal lines that are outside of the space of your box. Okay. So I want everybody to get to this point right here. I'm going to give you a minute or two. And after you draw these two lines that are parallel to this little center corner of the box line, I want you to draw a little point up there, a little dot, a little point at the top of that line segment. And then for those of you who are waiting and you're ready to go on, I want you to draw a line from those points to the vanishing point on the opposite side, like furthest away. So this point, from this point, I want you to draw to vanishing point 2. And from this point, I want you to draw to vanishing point 1, not to 2. I said the one that's furthest away. And those two lines will cross. They're going to crisscross right here in the center, and they're going to make the top of your box. Yep, definitely draw from those points to the vanishing point that is the furthest away from it. This one, the furthest vanishing point is on this side, not this side. So we're just going to crisscross, people, crisscross. Like that. So I like this method because it gives you a perfect cube in perspective, or a perfect box. It may not be exactly a cube, but it's close enough. And then you erase the extra orthogonal lines, or the vanishing point lines, because you don't need them anymore. And at this point, you should just be left with just a nice box with the top. And you could make the lines of the box a little bit, I'm going to make it a little bit darker so that you can actually see the top of the box lines. Okay. All these measurements and stuff, I'm going to erase that because I have to shade on top of them. So they're going to get covered up anyway. Okay. So R2s are doing the same thing. You're going to kind of do a line drawing. Maybe use a hard pencil. This is a H pencil, 1H. And it's giving me a nice clean line because the pencil lead is so hard. It's getting, into the hard leads. Let's figure out where we want to put our light source. So let's say our light source is on the upper right hand corner right here. So we're going to draw a quarter of a sun. It's just like a quarter of it. And we're going to write light source. Okay, and the arrows show kind of the direction. There are, just imagine them hitting the box like that from this direction. So when you're drawing the shadow, and you see the point right here, this dot at the bottom of that center line where the corner of the box is, match up that dot with vanishing point 2. Draw a line in front of the box now, like that. Okay, it's going to be a lot easier to draw an accurate shadow that looks like it's actually sitting on the ground if you use these vanishing point lines again. Do you see the corner of the box right here? Right here? I want you to draw a dot right there. And I want you to line up that dot with vanishing point 2, the same vanishing point we just used. And from there, extend a line outward like that. Now that looks like a shadow that just keeps on, going and going. And you could do that. You can take a pencil and you could shade this and have it go from dark to light and just have it go off the paper so that you don't see where the edge of the top of the shadow is. Or you can draw that if you want using vanishing point 1 on this side, on the opposite side. So it's up to you how long you want to make the shadow, but if you use common sense, look at this. Let's say this is the sun, right? The angle is that it's pretty low in the sky. So it would make sense to have the shadow be long and skinny. but I find that certain angles just don't look very nice. So I'm going to put the ruler right up to vanishing point 1, and I'm going to pivot the ruler along that. And I want to make the shadow kind of long, but I don't want the line to be an awkward angle, because you know how it is. If you draw certain things from different angles, they look a little weird, and at other angles they actually look better. So I'm looking at these two lines and I'm like, I think I'm going to keep the second line, which makes the shadow look a little longer. So just erase the vanishing point lines or the orthogonal lines that go past the shadow, and just have the ones for the shadow in the box. Okay, I'm going to use a 4B, and I'm going to start making my lines really close together. And it's going to be a little tricky. I actually used a ruler to draw these, because your lines are going to have to slowly change angle. Okay, you can use a ruler, but it's going to take you forever. So if you just do it by hand, do the best you can by hand, I think that it's a little bit better. Okay, just do it by hand, and don't worry about it not being perfect. You can use a 6B pencil, that's fine, because your shadow should be the darkest thing on the paper. This is the problem. You see, like, as you come out, your line should get lighter. So you're going to have to, it's a little tricky, you're going to have to like not press as hard, or go back and lighten it up with an eraser. I think that would be probably easier. Just take a kneaded eraser or a regular eraser and just kind of lighten it up a little bit toward the end. Because your shadow, as you come out, you have to have the lighter part of the shadow called the antumbra. So how are you going to do that with cross-hatching? You're going to have to kind of erase it up, or you're going to have such good pencil control that you're going to have to kind of ease up on the pressure like that. And it's okay if you want to just actually put some more lines like here to make it look darker. And if you're art 1, now you're going to do this. You're going to draw your lines that go the opposite way and do cross-hatching. This whole box is going to be shaded using cross-hatching. This is the hardest box. This is the hardest form to draw. It's also the hardest form to shade, because when I show you how to shade each of these panels, it's not going to be just one shade. You're going to actually go from dark to light, from corner to corner. And then when you meet another corner, that corner has to be the opposite, light to dark, for contrast. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. But the next two forms, though, are going to be easy. So it just gets easier after this. I want to make this go dark to light. So what I'm doing here is I'm easing up on the pressure, but I'm also making my lines space wider apart, and that's what I try to do here as well. So there's lots of things, lots of different things going on, right? Lots of things. Okay, so making my spaces get a little wider apart as I go out, so that the overall color of the shadow is getting lighter and lighter as I come toward this top edge. Now that's just horizontal and vertical lines. Now I'm going to have to go in and do my diagonal lines. Okay, so as I come out with my diagonal lines, I'm also going to have to kind of press harder when I'm close to the base right here of the cube, and lift up my pencil and also get light here overall, because this here is getting light. So whew, that's a lot of pencil control that you're going to be using. But is it possible to do this? Yes. Is it possible for you to do this? Totally believe that you can do this. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm just increasing the space. my lines didn't reach all the way over, so I just go back to where they stopped and just continue. And all this stuff I'm going to clean up and erase later, so don't worry too much about that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my diagonals using my 6B pencil, which feels suspiciously too hard to be a 6B pencil. But whatever, trust that it is what it is. So I did another row. I think it's just overall a little too light. I'm gonna have to definitely do some more layers. So maybe I will go in with a 9B pencil and try to get that shadow to look a little darker tonight. So am I getting a dark to light effect? Absolutely. And I'm able to get that. But I feel like I can actually get darker. And then just erase your stray lines and let's take a look at this shadow. Does it look dark enough? Does it look dark enough? Or should you go back and put some more lines? All right, maybe we should put some more lines. So I'm going to put another set of vertical lines and see how that looks. And I'm going to just draw some lines in between the lines that I've already drawn down on the paper to create a much tighter mesh of lines. Just adding some more pencil. If it doesn't seem to be getting much darker, maybe I should switch up to a 9B pencil because I do have a all graphite 9B pencil. Okay, so if I'm not getting it the dark, I want, ooh, that is nice and soft. So that tells me maybe some of these wooden pencils from this brand, Fantasia, may not be really as accurate as they are stamped. Maybe that 8B is really more like a 4B. And I'm not saying they don't know what they're talking about, but I don't know, maybe they don't know what they're talking about. But this is a more reputable brand, maybe. So, no, this is a Fantasia too. Well, this is a whole lot darker compared to one step down, 8B. So, I would definitely say this is a very high B pencil because it is dark. Okay, now I feel like that's nice and dark. So the next thing I'm going to do is I need to figure out what is the lightest part of the box, what is the medium shaded part of the box, and what is the darkest sided, the dark side of the box, the darkest side of the box. So I would say if the sun's over here and it's hitting this, the lightest can be either one of these. So we can make the top the lightest, or we can make this side right here the lightest. So I'm gonna say, why don't we just make the top the lightest? So we'll make that light. This side can be medium, and this side can be dark. The dark side is always the side that the shadow is attached to. So we're gonna shade this dark, we're gonna shade this light, and we're going to shade this medium. But it's not as simple as all that. We're not going to just put a lighter gray here, like a really light gray, maybe use an H pencil or something, and then make this medium, make that dark. We can do that, but if you notice here, there's a distance here. So this corner right here might be lighter than this corner, which is further away from your light source. And when there is, tonal variation, where things are going from light to dark within the same side, that is called transitions in tone. We call that transitions in tone. So it's going to go from lighter to darker like this. That's called transitions in tone. each of these boxes are going to have transitions in tone. So if it goes light to dark this way, then this edge cannot be light, even in the darkest side. It has to go from, if this is light to dark, then this is going to go from light to dark like that, just so that there's contrast between these two angles, these two sides, and there's like that sharp drop off from one side to the other, so that the cube looks like a right-sided, very, very angular object. Okay, let's keep it simple for now. Let's put this idea of transitions in tone in the back of our brain right now. Okay, let's just make this a light gray, a medium gray, and a dark gray. Okay, let's just think about it in very simple terms for now. And I'm going to take a H pencil just so that I don't get super dark. And I'm going to make this all light gray. And I'm going to put my lines really close together. I know that looked like scribble shading, and that was scribble shading. I forgot we were doing crosshatch. But that looks like really tight crosshatch, so it's fine. Now I'm going to go in the other direction. Okay, so I just threw some value down on this. Okay. So that's my so-called light side. This is going to be my medium side. So I'm definitely going to switch that up and not use an H pencil. Maybe I'll use a B pencil. So my lines are going to kind of go parallel, my vertical, and right now I'm just using vertical and horizontal lines. They're going to go parallel to the sides of my boxes. You know, I'm not going, all kinds of funky angles. I'm just going up and down right now and making my cross-hatching lines up and down. So this is a B pencil, so it's supposed to be darker, but see how that looks? It looks lighter. Maybe it's because there's too much space between my lines. I'm going to go back and I'm going to put in another set of lines and fill in all those little spaces between my first set of lines. Just make those lines a little tighter together, tighter together. Don't leave so much white of the paper showing through. There we go. The directions of your lines matter. The way that this is changing direction here as you go down the side of the box. It helps to also describe the form. So the way that your marks go, the direction of your shading marks also helps to describe the form of the object. Okay, so that's B. That's a B pencil. Now I'm going to do they look like about the same value, so I haven't even put in my horizontal lines yet. So when I put those horizontal lines, they're definitely going to make this side look darker than the top. Students, I would prefer that you make your shading darker rather than really light on the lighter side, because I want to be able to see your shading, and they will, since we're doing virtual, they will show up better in your photographs. If your drawings are too light, I might not be able to see your work very easily. So shade them more on the darker side. Be a little bit generous in your use of pencils so that you're darker. So they're on the more darker end, okay? Okay. So now, does that look darker than that? A little bit. So maybe I need to put some, let's just put some diagonal lines. So I know if I layer on more lines, and I'm literally putting more pencil down on the paper, it should look darker. I could also have made this top lighter by increasing the space between my lines, and I should have done that in the beginning. But like I said, I'd rather prefer the drawings to be on the more darker side than undershaded, so that I could actually see what you drew in your photographs of your work, since we're doing virtual right now. Okay, that's definitely getting darker now, so I like that. So we're going to stop right there. And now the darkest side. I'm going to switch from a B pencil to a 4B pencil, and I am going to definitely press down a little bit harder. Make my lines a little closer together. And of course, just in general, I mean, I'm using a darker pencil to start with. A darker, softer pencil will definitely lose its point faster than an H pencil. That's something that you should experience. If your pencils are indeed all different types and grades, they are what they claim to be, then this really high number of B pencils kind of wear down faster because the lead is, so-called lead, is softer. It's really graphite. Okay, so now we're going to go and do the vertical lines. We're going to go up and down now. Try to keep those lines real close together so that this side here is overall the darkest side. So we're going to do light, medium, dark. And then we're going to create these tricky transitions and tones that I'm talking about. You know, they're not that hard. Once you get the light, medium, and dark down, it's not too hard. You just put some more cross-hatching down in certain areas. But just make the sides all evenly, you know, shaded for now. So the dark side will be dark overall just throughout the whole thing. There isn't going to be lighter and there isn't going to be darker areas inside each side. Okay, they're just going to kind of look uniform. Alright, so I don't want to make that side as dark as my shadow, so I'm going to stop there. So light, medium, dark. That really works. Now to draw transitions in tone. You're going to have to make one corner lighter and have the side itself go from light to dark. So since the sun is over here, normally we would make this side here light and go from light to dark. But then we don't want to end up so dark that it matches this value here. Make it a little darker on this side, but not that much darker. And that will create the transitions in tone. Because when one side of the cube meets another side, there's got to be a lot of contrast there, because when you have a sharp angle change like that, there usually is a great difference in the way that the light hits the object. So did I create a transition in tone? Yes. Can I get a little lighter maybe? Okay, then I'm going to try this. Get a little piece of my kneaded eraser out, and instead of adding more pencil, because I don't want to get that dark, I'm going to take a little bit of eraser and erase it up. So okay, now we have this transition in tone from light to dark. Okay, and I'll just kind of create the little medium area in between, and I'm going to use this H pencil to do that. This H pencil here. So the next thing I want Art Ones to do is to just clean up around the edges of the box using a technique which I call masking, and that's when you take your ruler and you put it at the edge. You cover up the part, like the actual drawing part, and you put it right up to the edge, and you just erase right along the edge of the ruler with the drawing still protected under the ruler. And what that does is give you these perfect, mechanical looking, very, very perfect, clean edges. And it gets rid of all the stray marks from like flicking the pencil up when you were shading. It gets rid of all that. So if you are done your shading, you could tweak your shading and make it look perfect. If you're art 1, you could clean up around your box and, you know, just wipe your kneaded eraser just to get rid of these little white halo areas. The kneaded eraser is really good for really quick and easy cleanup because you just need to kind of swipe it and pretty much it just cleans up everything within seconds and just absorbs everything. But if you want to put in a background and make it look finished, that's fine. But I will not do anything, you know, I'm not going to like penalize you for not doing it. It's just, you don't have to do it. You could just have this and you would have completed the assignment.